it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today, and we are focusing in on a recovery topic, and that is how to fill up, how to refill your emotional bank account after you have been depleted, after you have been exploited, after you have been used, after you have been mistreated by a psychopathic or narcissistic abuser. We focus in on that topic here, and I want to, on the channel, and I want to really focus in on an important concept that I really kind of feel, and kind of, maybe I'm feeling like I just want to kind of coin the phrase emotionally bankrupt. The feeling of having lost it all. The feeling of having invested so much in an individual who has taken you for granted. Giving your heart to somebody who doesn't know how to cherish it. Giving your very being, your very essence, your intimate, most intimate part of yourself, and giving it to someone who will ridicule, humiliate, make fun, and shame when you have done nothing to provoke or insinuate or harm them. They are projecting a rash and hostility onto you that becomes very difficult to bear. Some people say, well, it's a cross that you bear. When we talk about challenges in life, it's a cross that you bear, and basically, once you bear that, it'll make you stronger in the long run. And that is very, very true. And so I want to focus in on the topic of emotional bankruptcy, or the feeling of being depleted, the feeling of being exhausted, the feeling of having intrusive thoughts where you can't stop ruminating on this narcissistic or psychopathic individual. Each time that you are ruminating on them, spending time obsessing over them, what they did, what you did, or what you don't now have with them, you are making a deficit in your emotional bank account. And by that, I mean really kind of a reservoir of self-value or value in and of yourself. And when we talk about self-value, it's an embracing and a contentment, and it really is a happiness. And it doesn't mean necessarily pleasure for pleasure's sake. We can have pleasure from eating a steak, pleasure from drinking a milkshake or a candy bar. But, this happiness really has to come from within. And oftentimes this feeling of happiness is emotionally depleted or bankrupt from a narcissist or psychopathic abuser because of the way in which they have violated and betrayed, annihilated personal boundaries, violating really the DNA, the core of who you are, through pathological lying, through pathological envy, all the toxicity and the negative emotions that tend to occur with their projection. And remember, when we talk about projection, that feeling that you're feeling of being helpless, lost, dejected, abandoned, feeling sort of lost lost in your life. A lot of people don't even really feel like they know where their track in life is. Nothing seems to be worthwhile anymore. Food doesn't taste good. They lose touch with their senses. They just feel this emptiness and coldness, a lack of human connectivity. We'll realize this is kind of what the psychopath has projected onto you. This is basically the gift of the psychopath. This is the cross that they bear. This is the, pervasive boredom that they feel. This is the emptiness. It's really almost, I've heard people describe it as a black hole of neediness. That you will never, the more you satisfy, the deeper you're digging the hole really with them. So it's a very difficult thing to fathom, and it's a very difficult pill to swallow, as I say. So, to refill your reservoir, to refill your emotional cup, if you will, to refill your emotional bank account, you need to invest in yourself. Oftentimes people feel emotionally violated, emotionally raped, emotionally taken advantage of by these individuals who have so overwhelmed them, gaslighted them, and really sort of caused this dehumanization, this dissociation. And we get a lot of the flashbacks of things that they said, that they did, the promises, the detours that our life had to take for them, the ways that we violated ourselves in order to accommodate them. this is all part of what has depleted or been a debit to the emotional bank account, if you will. So once you've really depleted it, you've probably had to dig very, very deep to keep them in your life. You've had to try very hard. You've had to work very hard to keep them in your life, to satisfy them, to quench their needs, to reflect back their ego to them, to be giving to them all the time. Chances are you've had to give much more than you have actually received. And it is very difficult to stop giving to these types of individuals because it becomes so habituated. It becomes really a part of, what you're feeling is a bond, but it's a traumatic bond. So it tends to deplete your energy. It tends to break you down. And then ultimately it makes you feel very down and out, dejected, rejected, abandoned, and then what we call the devalue and the discard. So if you have encountered this phase and feeling like there's a deep reservoir of hurt, loss, or helplessness, really it's kind of a learned helplessness that the psychopath or narcissistic individual has created. Learned helplessness basically just means you have learned to feel ineffective. You have learned to feel unattractive. You have learned to feel unworthy. You have learned to be a disappointment. You have learned to be, the giver in the situation. And so it becomes really, once you repeat that again and again, it becomes part of your identity. It becomes part of your mood, and then basically your identity. And then your identity you kind of almost have like an identity crisis, if you will, after going through this process of devalue and discarding with a narcissist, or even more profoundly, a psychopath. So if you are feeling emotionally bankrupt, you need to fill up your emotional well. Imagine it like a big bowl or a big cup that is basically run dry. It's like bone dry, like the oasis in a desert where it's just been depleted. There's no hope to be found. There's no love to be found. There's no energy to be found. You feel like your life has gotten really stuck. You have the flashbacks, the intrusive thoughts, kind of this feeling of disreality going on. It just kind of like doubting yourself and doubting reality and not knowing which direction to take in your life or what's valuable or what's going to help you. It's just really what it is. It's a really high-strung anxiety, stress, and shock. And it's feeling so violated that it's almost, the violation is too deep to cry. The violation is too profound to rage up against, to stand up against. It's just so, it feels so overwhelming, and it feels so, the magnitude feels so large. But realize that is a perception. So I want you to bring that perception back down and realize this is something I can handle. This is something I can cope with. This is something I can understand. And this is something that I can comprehend logically as well as emotionally. I can understand logically that this is a manipulative person and that they take advantage of people. They wear them out. They brainwash them. They gaslight them. They violate them physically, emotionally, financially, all the different spectrum of ways. However, that is that person, and that is not me. So there was a small chapter in my life, or a big chapter, however much, of my life where I had that person and I was being abused. That chapter is closed. It's done. We're not going back there. It's done. Okay, that chapter is there. That was an experience we had. That was an unexpected, unexpected to have all this going on. And it's like, okay, because of that, you have now had to educate yourself on this type of person and then how to cope. So not all people are that difficult to deal with. However, the narcissist and psychopath will leave kind of a hurt and a wound that requires healing and a really sort of way to coagulate that wound within you. So it won't keep bleeding out, and you won't keep obsessing about this person, and you won't keep losing your emotional value to this individual. So when we talk about, that emotional deficit, it's all the worry, it's all the anxiety, it's all the time, the sacrifice made for them, the thinking that they were going to be, there for you in your life, and just this and this way, and they were not that role at all. The fact that they were an imposter. I mean, these are difficult truths to accept. However, once you accept this, and then cease living in the denial, and realizing this is them, you are you. This is them, you are you, and you are immune and a different, healthier, caring, loving sort of person. And you need to then to refill your emotional bank account. And you do this through your affirmations. You do this through your affirmations and then your meditation and focusing on the vision you want for your future. So you become more conditioned by your future vision than being programmed from your past. And you might need to be alone. You don't need to be, dating a lot of people, on a rebound right now, because chances are you need to get like a really solid foundation for yourself and develop a filter for yourself moving forward of who you can trust, who you don't want to trust, because chances are this psychopathic individual made it through the filter. And that's really kind of a concept that I've been thinking about in the past couple of days, is that you need to be able to see through that filter and be able to have a discernment of who are the type of people who are going to take advantage and run you ragged, run you, dry, emotionally bankrupt you, or those who can help add to your credibility, those who can help you. And even though the line might shift and turn and things like that, you have to be very cognizant of the fact that some people are going to be only self-serving and not helping to benefit and be supportive of you. So chances are, if you are, you have been depleted, you need to work on, working up on that self-value, working on gratitude for yourself, the fact that you're still alive, that you're still, alive and kicking, the fact that you still have a good heart, and embracing the gratitude really that exists within you. And thank God that you got away from them. Thank God that they didn't get the best of you. Thank God that you have now learned and you are getting a higher consciousness about people in general and really the world at large, what we're going to call the bigger picture. You've now realized and learned something very important about life. Maybe they didn't teach this to you in kindergarten, first grade, or even second grade. It is really in your adult life where you do learn these truths that there are people who take advantage of. And yes, we've heard about this, but oftentimes people don't expect it in their most intimate relationships or within their family itself. So, you need focus on refilling that emotional bank, filling that emotional bank with new experiences, getting richer emotions, getting gratitude, saying your affirmations, steadying yourself. If you're going through a lot of that flashback, those intrusive thoughts, the dreams, where this person just seems to show up, you feel kind of terrors. I know people who have, they shout out in the middle of the night. They start sleep talking, all the different things, spurting out like how they tried to help them, so things are coming out, from the unconscious. I mean, that's how deep the wound can be. So work on filling up that emotional reservoir of worth, your emotional bank account, giving yourself experiences now that put value and harmony and love and warmth and trust back into your life, so you can begin to feel that again. Being very comforting of yourself, staying warm, staying cool, staying hydrated, staying fed, eating healthy food, self-care, doing a spa massage or a spa shower, or doing something wonderful for yourself, like walking through a garden, or taking a little walking trip through a beautiful part of nature, and just getting out in the fresh air and repeating your affirmations. I am safe. I am whole. I'm aligned with my God self. And repeating these things over and over and over, and deep breathing and cleansing yourself of the toxicity and the emotional bank, really ridding yourself, writing this person off, and forgiving yourself for having made an error in judgment for this individual who you had welcomed into your life. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.